All right, in 13.2, we're going to look at the square root graph, and we're going to transform it. So you should be looking at your pink notes, and at the bottom one on the front part of your pink notes, we're at the square root graph. So the parent function is this, y equals the square root of x. So we're going to look at what this looks like when we graph this. So again, we're going to start with key points on the graph. So we're going to use specific values for x and y, and I'll walk you through it. So obviously we're going to start at 0. So if x is 0, what is the square root of 0? Well, it's 0. And let's go to 1, where x is 1. What's the square root of 1? It's 1. So we have 0, 0. We have 1, 1. And where x is 2, that doesn't work, does it? What's the square root of 2? Well, it's some decimal, 1.41 something. So let's not use 2. What about 3? Is 3 a perfect square? No. What about 4? 4 is a perfect square, so I'm going to use 4 because the y value then would be the square root of 4 is 2. So I'm going to use these values right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4 comes up to 2, and it looks kind of like a person standing on a diving board, right? Now, what if I go negative? If I go negative 1, well, I can't take the square root of negative 1. Remember, you can't take the square root of a negative. That makes it an imaginary number. So it only looks like this. So you're going to want to make sure that you memorize these points because this will help us build the shape. Now, if I took this paper and I rotated it 90 degrees, if you can imagine, it kind of looks like half a parabola. If I went this way, it would look like the whole parabola, wouldn't it? Because this is actually the inverse of a parabola. Now, this part doesn't work down here because if it did, then it would no longer be a function, right? It would not pass the vertical line test. So we only use this one part of the curve. Now, inverse, means that the x and y coordinates are switched. So on the parabola, wouldn't it be up 1 over 1? And then with the parabola, we would go over 2, up 4. So we're using the same thing, but it's just rotating. Your x and your y's rotate in an inverse. So they switch spots. So now this is what the inverse of a parabola looks like. Now let's go back and let's do domain and range with set notation and interval notation. So looking at this, notice that our domain starts at 0, but it only goes in the positive direction, right? So my domain would be, let me zoom in a little bit, x such that x is greater than or equal to 0. In interval notation, that would look like a hard stop at 0 to positive infinity. Now range, look at my range. The lowest y value is 0 and the highest theoretically is infinity. It's going up very slowly, but it is going up. So y such that y is greater than or equal to 0. And in interval notation, that would be 0 to positive infinity. Now, your x-intercept and y-intercept, notice that it's crossing at the origin. That means it's both the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Now, all of these on the pink notes, if you've gone back and looked, your x-intercept and y-intercept are all going through the origin, so these all match. That will change, but right now they match. Asymptotes, remember, are lines that the graph will approach but not cross. This one doesn't have anything like that, so we just write none on asymptotes. So be prepared to do these types of things on each graph that we transform on your notes page. Okay, so now I'm looking at my notes page and I want to go through these things. It says for each function give domain and range, and then on 5 through 8 give x and y intercepts. We'll get that in a moment. So as I graph these, I'm going to list my transformations just to get me going. So if I look at this, at the parent function, this minus 5, what is that doing? That is going down. So it's down 5. So I go, what was that? Origin 0, 0. I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to remind you for a second, those points that we used before, 0, 0, and then 1, 1, and then 4, 2. Those were those parent points from our function, right? So I'm going to go back over here. So if I go up 1, so now if I go over 1, up 1, and then I'm going to go over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2. So you'll notice there's our shape. We just moved the starting point, basically. All right, what is this plus 2 doing? Remember, it's opposite logic, because it's under the radical. So it's going to go left 2. The minus 4 means it's going down 4. So left 2, down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then notice there's nothing vertically shifting or stretching or shrinking or horizontal. So I'm going to follow the same pattern. I'm going to go over 1, up 1, over 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2. And there it is. Okay, look at number 3. This one is what? It's a vertical reflection. So instead of going up, I'm going to go down. So it starts at the origin. Normally I would go over and up 1. I'm going to go over and down 1, and then over 4, down 2. So it's just going that direction. Let's look at number 4. I'm going to rewrite our xy coordinates from the parent function just so we have them for quick reference. All right, tells us what to do, how many to go over and how many to go up. So this 2 is a vertical stretch. Remember, it's outside the radical by 2. That means I'm going to take my y values and multiply them by 2. All right, so to get my new values, I'm going to do 2 times y here. So it's starting still at the origin. It's not going left, right, up, or down, so it's still going to go here. So instead of going, I go over 1, but instead of going up 1, I'm going to go up 2. I'm going to go up over 4, 3, 4, and instead of going up 2, I'm going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's stretching it vertically. So how it's stretching out. That's how you're going to show me a vertical stretch. Let's jump over here to number 5. This one is it says plus 4. So what is that doing? That means it's moving it left 4 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing's happening as far as my points. They are staying the same. As far as how many do I go over? So let's see. I'm going to go over 1, up 1, over 4, up 2, and nothing changed there. Okay, we're good to go. Number 6. All right, lots of stuff is going on here. What is this? That negative means it's a vertical reflection. What is the minus 2? It's going right 2. And the plus 1 means it's going up 1. So I'm going to do the right and up first. So right 2, up 1. And it's going to reflect vertically. So I'm going to go down instead of up. So I'm going to go over 1, down 1, over 4, down 2. And it's going downward. There we go. Number 7. Let's see. Now this is different. This is a horizontal reflection. I'll show you what that does here in a second. And up 1. No, it's still starting here. So horizontal reflection means I am going this direction, reflecting this direction. So I know I'm going up 1, so I'm going to start here. Now I'm going to apply those same points. Remember, 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2. So I'm going to go, there's my 0, 0 point, going up over 1. So it's going to go like this, up 1, over 4, up 2. So it's going to turn this direction. It reflected across that y-axis this time. It's going the opposite direction. That's what a horizontal reflection does. Now look at this one, number 8. This one is a horizontal. Remember, it's under the radical, so it's going to be opposite logic. So it's not a vertical stretch, it's a horizontal shrink by 1/2. So what does that mean I'm going to do? Well, it means I take my points and I'm going to cut this one in half. All right, take my x value and cut it in half. So it's not moving up, down, left, or right. So I'm still starting at 0, 0, because half of 0 is still 0. Well, half of 1 is 1/2. So I go up, I go 1/2 over and up 1. And then half of 4 is 2. And I go up 2. So it's horizontally shrinking it this way. Okay? So it's 1/2. So it's opposite logic. Remember, it's opposite logic in the way it's going to look. All right, so if you sit back and look at your paper, all of these look like half a parabola going one direction or another, right? They will all pass the vertical line test, so they're all still functions. Now what we need to do on the first 4, go back to your directions. It says give the domain and range. You can do set notation or you can do interval notation. I'm going to demonstrate both just for fun. So let's do this first one. So this one has a domain x, so it's going from 0 to positive infinity, greater than or equal to 0. So in interval notation, that would be a hard stop at 0, and it goes to positive infinity. The range would be y such that y goes all the way down to -5 and then up. So y is greater than or equal to -5, my bad, should be a -5. And in interval notation, where would that put us? Well, we go from bottom to top, and it does, so we go -5 to positive infinity. On number 2, let's do domain and range again. Our domain, x such that, where does x start? Over here at -2, x is greater than or equal to -2. Interval notation, that would be a hard start at -2 to positive infinity. It's going in the positive direction. For my range, y such that y goes down to what? -4. Y is greater than -4. Yeah, starts at -4 and gets greater than. So there you go. There's y is that. Interval notation, bottom to top, starts at -4, goes to positive infinity. Look at number 3. My domain, x such that x starts at 0 and goes to positive infinity. Interval notation would be a hard start at 0, goes to positive infinity. My range, this is different since it's reflected, right? So y is, what is it? Less than or equal to 0 this time. And my interval notation would say, what? -infinity to 0. So notice how it changed directions on us. And the last one here for domain and range, my domain would be x such that x is greater than or equal to 0 or 0 to positive infinity. On your homework, you can use either notation you want. I don't care. Range would be y such that y is greater than or equal to 0. And interval notation would be 0 to positive infinity. All right, so the first 4 on this, notice the directions. It just says show domain and range on that. On 5 through 8, it says give x and y intercepts. All right, x and y intercepts. So let's go back and look at this. X and y intercepts. So on number 5, where is it crossing the x-axis? Well, over here, right? X-intercept would be right here. Where is that? Well, it's -4, 0. And the y-intercept, where is it crossing the y-axis? It's right here at 2, so 0, 2. Let's look at this one, number 6. X-intercept, where is it crossing the x-axis? Well, right here. 1, 2, 3, -3, 0. Y-intercept, well, look, it's not touching the y-axis, so you would just say none. You just say none. You don't have to put that in parentheses. Just say none. All right, number 7. Where is it crossing the x-intercept? Well, where is it crossing the x-axis? It's not. So we would say none. Y-intercept, is it crossing the y-axis? Yes, it moved up. Remember right here? So it's at 0, 1. And last but not least, let's look at number 8. X-intercept, it's at 0, 0. And y-intercept, 0, 0. So if it's at the origin, those are going to match, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So pay attention to your instructions today. Some of them you're going to do domain and range. Some of you're going to do x and y-intercepts. Now let's look at lastly at number 9 here. Parent function, you're going to write the equation, okay? Parent function is stretched vertically by a factor of 6, translated down 7 units, and reflected over the x-axis. So let's think about this. Stretched vertically by a factor of 6. So this is in the front. 7 down 7, so it would be -7 in the back of my equation, right? But not in the radical, it's outside. Reflected over the x-axis, so that's a negative in front. So the way I would write my equation, y equals negative 6 square root of x, and then the minus 7 hangs off the bat. All right, I hope that makes sense to you, and let me know what questions you have when we get to class.